Hi sweeties, how are you doing? Welcome to Naya. Before I continue, please, if you have not subscribed to my backup channel, I am pleading with you. Please kindly click on the link down there. You can see the link pinned. Kindly click on it and subscribe to my backup channel. Thank you so much. Welcome to Naya. If this is your first time of coming across this channel, sweetheart, kindly smash the subscribe button, turn on the notification so you get notified each time I upload, and please give this video a thumb up. I appreciate you all, and I want to say thank you all so much for always coming back to watch my videos and subscribing. You all are the real MVPs. So today we'll be checking out something that actually happened during an interview, and it happened to a Republican guest, right? And she was asked to define woke, and trust me, she messed everything up. And now it dawned on me that I feel like a lot of them, they have been screaming woke, they have been screaming CRT. Some of them do not even know the meaning of what they are fighting against, right? And you know what? Just take a look to the screen. Let me roll the clip. Let me know what you all think in the comment section. Let me roll the clip, okay?
Of Americans consider themselves very liberal, and probably fewer of them consider themselves to be woke. And so, you know, when we talk about traditional,
what does that mean to you? Would you mind defining woke? Because it's come up a couple times, and I just want to make sure we're on the same page.
So, I mean, woke is sort of the idea that this is going to be one of those moments that goes viral. I mean, woke is something that's very hard to define, and we've spent an entire chapter defining it. It is sort of the understanding that we need to totally reimagine and redo society in order to create hierarchies of oppression. Sorry, it's hard to explain in a 15-second soundbite.
Yeah, look, your time.
Woke is sort of the idea that
It's okay, lady. I'll help you out. Woke is a term that was originally coined by African Americans who became very much aware of the extensive history of the brutalization and oppression of African communities. It was a common go-to phrase amongst the variety of different black communities throughout history since at least the 1940s up until roughly about the 1990s. In the 1990s, it slowly started becoming an integrated word to mean aware of any type of oppression that is subjugated to any type of minority group, including other races such as Asian and Hispanic, and especially Native American, as well as queer culture and even women. By 2010, though, unfortunately, the word had become appropriated by the hipster crowd and was largely used by cringe white chicks in order to describe themselves as alternative. Eventually, though, the word started to regain its original root meaning, and unfortunately, since there was an aggressive amount of anti-literally anything that I disagree with from the right, it became synonymous with words like liberal, socialism, so on and so forth. Come 2019, and Republicans have hijacked the word and never really gave it a clear-cut definition, but essentially basically made it mean a thing I don't like, which apparently now ranges anywhere from queer people existing to M&Ms not being sexy enough. At its root, though, it still just does mean being aware of actual history instead of the whitewash propaganda-laced crap that's jammed down our throat by the American education system. You know, the version of history that conveniently omits things such as coal miner towns, where people were forced into such brutal labor conditions that they were literally dying, but they couldn't leave because they only were paid in debentures that could only be cashed out at a local store. Or the Tuskegee experiments, where they infected multiple unknowing African Americans with a form of syphilis in order to test a vaccine without telling any of those people that they had been infected with the disease. How about the components of the civil rights movement that don't involve just Martin Luther King's speech, aka several riots and protests that erupted into extreme violence? Or similarly, how about the Stonewall riots, which was the first time that queer people finally had enough of everyone's bullshit and straight up got violent with motherfuckers. You know, the components of history that we want to keep under wraps because that's how we keep a complacent society. It's also how they convince conservatives like you that the peaceful approach is the right approach, and that the USA has never done anything bad, or if they did, they reversed it. Both of which are complete horseshit narratives.
All right, so now I need to say like not something regular, but like I learned that she has like she is an author of so many books, right? And why use now the Republican stole the word from Black people, right? And never acknowledged that they did. And now they use this word without even knowing the meaning. I mean, how do you make use something that you actually do not know the meaning? Because that is where I found it like very offensive. How do you use a word you are not sure of? And time to like tell us, okay, what does woke mean? You're telling me that it's going to take like 15 seconds is not even enough for you to explain what woke means, and like it's something that can take like 100 pages or 3,000 pages to talk about. Who is fooling who? Anyways, let's get into let's continue with the stitches and see what people are saying about it. So here we go.
This is going to be one of those moments that goes viral. I mean, woke is something that's very hard to define.
You can bet the autographed copy of Reagan's picture that you keep on your nightstand and kiss every night before you go to bed that it goes viral. This person wrote a whole book on wokeness and then glitched spectacularly when asked to define it, and props to that interviewer for doing exactly what every single interviewer should do when they come across someone using this term. Because for conservatives, it's a nothing term. It doesn't mean anything to them except what they want it to mean in that moment. And it is far easier to rile people up against something ambiguous and unspecific than it is against concrete threats. Lest you think they're completely ignorant, they do know what was meant by the community that coined the term, the African American community. It meant someone who was aware of the systems of oppression that exist in this world and was actively working to combat them. So it's not so much that they can't define it. They just can't define it without exposing themselves for using a very obvious dog whistle.
Americans consider themselves very liberal, and probably fewer of them consider themselves.
Hey, Sarah Ann. Ciao. That was a hot mess. I'm not going to even lie to you. Hopefully, this is a very valuable lesson for you and all your brethren who think like you, because that was wrong. And I wasn't going to say anything, because, I'm like, no. I need to gatekeep. But I was like, nah. I saw another young lady on here who posted a video she had with her 5-year-old daughter. I was like, okay, I'm going to say something. Just throw my little 2 cents in the box. So I remember watching this video back in Black History. And this beautiful sister got on there and she was speaking about the formative narrative of Black people. And what a valuable lesson that was for her. And in essence, if you don't know what the informative narrative is, it basically speaks to another person's view of you, their opinions, their thoughts about you, their beliefs about you. What you did, what you stated in that interview, was your own version of that formative narrative, and that was wrong. That was wrong, completely wrong. In essence, what woke means, truly, at its basic core, is we're up. We're no longer asleep. We're not taking naps. We're not snoozing to who you all are. We see you. We see you. For everything that you are, we see you. There's no mirage. There's no blindfold. There's no patches. We see you. We see you. We are up. We're not taking a sleep. Life has come. Don't go back to sleep. Truth has come. Don't go back to sleep. Revelation has come. Don't go back to sleep. That's what it means. We see you. That's it.
So you can get rid of those lectures, you can get rid of those books. We see you. We see you. That's it. That's all. Nothing more, nothing less. So anybody else who wants to try to define or explain what that word means to us, we see you. And everything that comes with you, we see you. Okay, Sarah Ann? Okay? All right.
Would you mind defining woke? Because it's come up a couple times and I just want to make sure we're on the same page.
This moment is so embarrassing for that girl. And this is always my issue with, like, popular conservative opinion. They know so deeply within their core that they are just massively, creating this aversion to wokeness, but yet don't really know how to define it. Why don't you just call it for what it is? Your definition of wokeness is somebody of color being put in a role for a movie, someone celebrating an LGBTQ plus business over, some cisgendered heterosexual white individual, someone highlighting and speaking up about Black or indigenous culture. Just call it for what it is. Your definition of wokeness is putting any marginalized person above a white person.
Woke is sort of the idea that
if you're ever in a pinch and you're struggling to find the definition of woke and you need to use it in any kind of argument, whether for or against the quote-unquote woke agenda, just know that Ron DeSantis' lead lawyer has actually created a legal definition of the term. And that definition is becoming aware of systemic issues that need to be addressed and or corrected. That involves anything from landlords taking advantage of their tenants to elder abuse to governments actually hurting their people, actively, willfully, and knowingly hurting their people. Let's say in instances of the bank collapse where they bailed out all of those banks on the promise that they wouldn't spend all their money on stock buybacks, which they did, and then fired their employees even though that was one of the stipulations that they could not do. Or, take for instance East Palestine, or how BP went completely unpunished after destroying the entire fishing industry in the Gulf of Mexico. Those are examples. What's funny to me, though, is the same people who will vehemently claim to not be sheep or sheeple are the same people who are also vehemently opposed to the woke agenda. Woke is about a 50-year-old term now, used since the 70s, which basically just meant you're not sleeping on the facts that most people close their eyes to. Things like systemic issues, like oppression, abuse, police brutality, those kind of things that get swept under the rug and completely ignored or omitted in news reports or in official documentation, where things happen and we all know they happen, but they never get mentioned. But we know that those are the things that happen on a daily basis, and they're a part of our daily lives that keep us down, and we ignore them. And those people who ignore those issues and let them slide and let them continue to oppress them and keep their head underwater are not woke. Now, for the fun fact, the reason why Ron DeSantis' legal team had to come up with a legal definition for the term woke, was because they fired one of their attorneys who was helping them create litigation against the trans community, banning books, etc. And the reason why they fired him was because he asked the question, is this morally right? Can we do this? Is this right for our people? And they fired him for becoming too woke. And they are still continuing with that lawsuit, with that definition, which really just shows their whole ass, that they're firing this person for becoming aware of very oppressive systemic issues that need to be addressed and or corrected. So if you're ever struggling to find the definition of the term woke, just mean that you're becoming aware of oppressive systemic issues and they need to be addressed and or corrected. And if you're against that, kind of.
Would you mind defining woke? Because it's come up a couple times and I just want to make sure we're on the same page.
The reason white people can't define the word woke, and when I say white people, I'm not even talking about like just conservative white people or liberal white people or whatever. Like, white people have no place even offering a definition for the word woke, because they have appropriated that language. And as a Black person, that word, I can say that word should have never left the Black community, or at most like communities of color. But honestly, I would say even the Black community, because woke means something very, very specific to Black people. And white people have run with it, liberals, in the sense that they've used it as like, I'm woke, I'm woke, I'm good, when half the time they're fucking liberals. So they're not actually down with the shit. Two, then the whole fucking GOP has just completely destroyed the meaning to where it feels gross to even use the word anymore.
Woke is something that's very hard to define, and we've spent an entire chapter defining it.
The word had a definition when you stole it from African American vernacular English, but you didn't like the definition. It was neutral, it was clear, but you want to weaponize it so that you can make it seem like a bad thing, an evil thing, and then got the nerve to say it's hard to define, and we spent a whole chapter defining it. It already had a definition, Christina. And then you wrote a book and took a whole chapter to define it, and you still can't define it effectively. Maybe just go back to the original definition, you dummy.
Woke is sort of the idea that
they can't define woke without looking like a fascist or a racist or both. The lack of definition is where the power lay with the word woke. Like, it allows people to project what they think woke is and who is associated with woke. And spoiler alert, it's every marginalized group. Anyways, I realize pointing out hypocrisy doesn't really do anything. But maybe pointing and laughing and associating this nonsense with embarrassment strips any perceived contrarian prestige they think they have with calling out woke people. Maybe not. I don't know. It's pretty funny, though.
All right, this is all we have for the stitches. I think she'll continue to find it hard to define woke. Yeah. This is all I have for the stitches, and you know what? I want to read all your comments. Let me know what you all think in the comment section. And you know what? See you all in my next video. Bye for now.